Sharing the road with bad drivers is any commuter's nightmare. But in some states, horrendous driving is as common as cows grazing in a pasture. From texting behind the wheel to disobeying traffic signals, dangerous behavior on the roads reaches a fever pitch in certain parts of America. So gas up and buckle in as we count down a coast-to-coast ranking of the worst driving states in the nation. You may want to grab some antacid for this wild ride shotgun with the most hazardous motorists around. Using data on fatal accidents caused by distraction, drowsiness, drunk driving, and more, we will reveal which states have earned an F when it comes to safe driving behavior. Just be warned, the results may shock and appall you. Let's try to keep the road rage under control. Number 10, South Carolina. Kicking things off at number 10 is South Carolina, no stranger to risky driving. Nearly 40% of South Carolina's traffic deaths involve an impaired driver, giving it the 13th highest drunk driving fatality rate nationwide. Distracted driving has also proven deadly, causing over 3,300 wrecks from 2019 to 2021. And South Carolina ranks third worst for accident fatalities involving drivers failing to obey traffic signs or signals. When you combine lax attitudes toward impairment and distraction with ignoring basic traffic laws, it earns South Carolina the number 10 slot for states with the most hazardous drivers. Number 9, Montana. At number 9 is Big Sky Country, Montana. This sprawling frontier state actually has the highest rate of fatal crashes involving drowsy drivers. Montana's long, lonesome highways make zonking out behind the wheel all too easy. The Treasure State also claims the unfortunate distinction of the most drunk drivers involved in fatal wrecks, nearly 20 per 100,000 residents. Mix wide-open roads with excessive speed and impaired motorists, and you've got a recipe for disaster. Traffic safety advocacy groups have called on Montana to stiffen drunk driving penalties and better educate motorists about drowsy driving risks. Until then, sharing the road with Montana drivers will make you pucker in more ways than one. Number 8, Arizona. Rolling in at number 8 is the Grand Canyon State, Arizona. Endless hours driving under the blazing desert sun seem to fray Arizona motorists' nerves, patience, and sense of safety. Arizona ranks second worst for failure to obey traffic signs and signals. Running red lights and ignoring stop signs appears to be the norm here. The state also has the 4th highest rate of wrong-way driving and 8th highest rate of drunk driving deaths. When you combine blatant disregard for traffic laws with alcohol impairment, Arizona drivers demonstrate a level of recklessness far exceeding the speed limit. Here, defensive driving isn't just a good idea, it's absolutely critical for survival. Number 7, Wyoming. At number 7 is wildlife-filled Wyoming. But it's not just deer, bison, and moose you need to watch out for. It's the drivers. Wyoming claims the worst rate of fatal crashes caused by drowsy motorists in America. Locals acknowledge driving Wyoming's lonely back roads can be hypnotically soporific, but falling asleep with 80-mile-per-hour speeds proves absolutely treacherous. The state also has the 4th highest rate of drunk driving deaths, exacerbating risks on its long rural highways. Wyoming has taken steps to curb drowsy driving, installing roadside pull-off areas on major routes. But when it comes to dangers on the road, Wyoming residents personify high-risk, high-velocity driving in one sleepy, wind-swept package. Number 6, New Mexico. The number 6 top spot goes to the land of enchantment, New Mexico. However, its drivers are anything but enchanting. New Mexico has the worst rate of fatal wrecks caused by distracted drivers. Apparently, the desert vistas are utterly mesmerizing because keeping eyes on the road is a major challenge here. The state also ranks 15th for deadly drowsy driving crashes. All that hypnotic scenery lulling dazed drivers creates a recipe for disaster. New Mexico also has the 7th worst rate of failure to obey traffic signs and signals. Chasing every Instagrammable sunset seems to override any concern for roadway basics like stop signs. When driving New Mexico, you'd better be paying attention because they sure aren't. Number 5, Kentucky. Galloping into the number 5 slot is Kentucky. The bluegrass state demonstrates a willful disregard towards safe driving across the board. It ranks 4th worst for distracted driving fatalities and 9th worst for driving on the wrong side of the road. Kentucky also shows little hesitation to get behind the wheel while drowsy, scoring 8th most deadly crashes caused by fatigued drivers. And with the 10th highest DUI fatality rate, Kentucky clearly has no reservations about impaired driving either. Between phones, booze, and fatigue, driving defensively is absolutely essential when sharing the road with Kentucky motorists. Otherwise, you could end up like a horse heading into a perilous derby turn, in over your head and unable to stop. Number 4, Oklahoma. At number 4 is Oklahoma, whose drivers cause mayhem from the Red River to the Ozarks. Oklahoma has the 9th highest DUI fatality rate, showing a disregard for the dangers of drunk driving. The Sooner State also has the 8th worst rate of deadly crashes from ignoring signs, signals, and officers. Oklahomans appear reluctant to let anything like posted limits or red lights slow them down, and distracted driving claims nearly 2 lives per 100,000 residents, the 7th worst rate nationally. Clearly, keeping hands on the wheel and eyes on the road is not a priority. With lax attitudes about impairment, distraction, and traffic laws, roadways feel like a lawless free-for-all instead of an orderly driving experience when behind the wheel in Oklahoma. Number 3, Kansas. Accelerating into the number 3 spot is Kansas. With wide-open prairie highways and sleepy small towns, you might not expect hazardous highways here. But the statistics tell a different story. Kansas has the 2nd worst rate of distracted driving deaths nationwide. Apparently, those endless Great Plains horizons prove fatally mesmerizing. The state also ranks 3rd worst for disobeying traffic laws and 4th worst for drowsy driving fatalities. When you combine distraction with sheer disregard for basic traffic rules and nod-offs at the wheel, Kansas adds up to America's 3rd most treacherous place to navigate the roadways. Just stay alert and don't let the mellow Midwest vibes lull you into a false sense of security. Number 2, Louisiana. Careening into the number 2 slot is the Bayou State, Louisiana. Between lakes, swamps, and sluggish country byways, Louisiana's driving environment seems pretty mellow. But don't be fooled, its motorists are anything but. Louisiana claims the 3rd worst rate of deadly distracted driving wrecks, evidence that focus on the road regularly lapses here. The state also ranks 10th worst for drowsy driving fatalities, suggesting snoozing behind the wheel is commonplace. And with the 8th highest DUI fatality rate, Louisiana drivers have no qualms about getting behind the wheel buzzed. Altogether, lax attitudes toward distraction, fatigue, and impairment make Louisiana America's 2nd most precarious place for safe travel. Number 1, Texas. Pulling into the ominous top spot as America's worst driving state is Texas. The Lone Star State earns this notorious distinction due to a lethal combination of risky roadway behaviors. For starters, Texas has the 8th highest drunk driving fatality rate, showing many motorists lack good judgment when it comes to drinking and driving. The state also ranks 9th worst for distracted driving deaths, meaning tools like map apps prove fatally diverting. Deadly drowsy driving crashes also plague Texas at the 2nd highest rate nationally, and Texas claims the prize as the worst state for wrong-way collisions, nearly 1.5 deadly crashes per 100,000 residents, demonstrating many drivers literally don't know where they are going. Altogether, the data shows Texas roads are a veritable gauntlet, with drunk, drowsy, and distracted motorists careening across lanes utterly oblivious to regulations or reason. There may be camaraderie in Texas, but on the merciless highways, it's every man and horse for himself. Well, there you have it, an alarming coast-to-coast tour of America's 10 states with the most hazardous drivers, based on data analysis and expert insights. From drunk driving to distraction, some states clearly excel in roadway risk-taking year after year. For the sake of your safety and sanity, exercise added caution when navigating the mean streets and highways in these hotspots of horrible drivers. Or better yet, say, See y'all later, and avoid these reckless driving havens altogether. Let us know your picks for America's worst driving states in the comments below. Just try not to grip the steering wheel too tight or grind your teeth down to nubs, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more state showdowns.